And how we doing, everybody? This is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR podcast. We're coming from you live from Pocono Raceway. Drove out earlier this morning from New Jersey. Announced yesterday we have a very exciting sponsorship with Dawson Cram in the Xfinity and Truck Series. Our sticker is on both the truck and Xfinity car. Was here first thing this morning. Trucks went through inspection. Super cool to see that process. Was just talking to Grant Enfinger and Cayden Honeycutt. Have an interview with Cayden we'll have later in the show. Truck Series practice will start in a little bit over an hour. So drivers are getting ready. Crews are getting ready as well. Can't wait for the trucks to hit the track soon. Truck Series practice is just underway. Qualifying will follow after. We'll keep you updated on who's the fastest. Lane Riggs goes on to win the qualifying and will start the race up front. See how that goes once the green flag drops. Day 2, Saturday morning, walking in. Xfinity race is later today at 3:30. Super excited to have our partnership with Dawson Cram in the 74. Got a 30-second finish last night in the trucks. We'll go over all that, the race winner and the recap shortly later in the episode. But super pumped to be back at the track. Second day, NASCAR Pocono. We'll keep you updated. Chase Elliott wins the Xfinity qualifying. We'll be on the pole for that. Cup practice and qualifying just getting underway as we speak. Spoke to Brennan Poole and AJ Allmendinger as they prepare for the Cup Series practice. They're ready to go. Denny Hamlin secures the pole for Sunday and will start up front. He'll be going for his 8th win at the Cup Series at Pocono. Pre-race festivities for Xfinity are about to commence. Back in the studio, what an absolute blast of a weekend in the Pocono Mountains. As you could hear, Splash of Gas was on track all weekend long. And as mentioned, super excited to announce our sponsorship with Dawson Cram and Mike Harmon Racing and their entries in both the truck race and the Xfinity race. Was with them in the garage and pits all day Friday and Saturday, going through tech inspections, practice, qualifying, then of course the races. Very cool experiences and insight to what actually goes on during each race. And hey, Dawson even finished ahead of Chase Elliott in Stage 1 in the Xfinity race. Really appreciative for the chance to help out and be a part of the weekend with them. Good people over there. A lot of racing action in total to cover from last weekend. ARCA would be in action at the short track of Elko in Minnesota. After Treyten Lapcevich dominated the weekend before in Berlin, could Max Reeves or Brenden Butterbean Queen be victorious? Storylines for Pocono trucks after the wild 3-overtime finish in Michigan 2 weeks ago. Who was ready to put it all on the line? Xfinity, Chase Elliott dips down back in the Xfinity car, driving the 17 for Hendrick. Dale Jr. also makes his crew chief debut as Mardy Lindley, the crew chief for Junior Motorsports in the 88, driven by Connor Zilisch, has to serve a one-race penalty for the car having loose lug nuts. Cup Series, can Denny Hamlin get his 8th career Cup Series win at Pocono after winning the pole on Saturday? Or could past winners Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, or Kyle Busch take the trophy again? Pre-race interviews, first with full-time Truck Series driver and 2024 Snowball Derby champ Kaden Honeycutt, plus Junior Motorsports Xfinity driver Sammy Smith. Couldn't fit all of our exclusive interviews on this episode. We'll have Pocono 2.0 garage chats with Jeb Burton, Harrison Burton, Brennan Poole, Matt DiBenedetto, Taylor and Tanner Gray. Plus, yellow flag, green flag, discussions with Dave, predictions for the upcoming races at Lime Rock and Atlanta Motor Speedway, and so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, a.k.a. Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. If you are planning on going to Disney for New Jersey's Teachers Convention Week, it is time to book with Dave now. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Also, please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for on-track and midweek updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weicker. Now for the ARCA Series recap from Elko. After the qualifying in Minnesota, Brenden Butterbean Queen would be the fastest and sit on the pole. Max Reeves in the Joe Gibbs ARCA car would be second fastest and make up the front row with Queen. Reeves would take control of the lead early on the second lap, taking it from Queen. Reeves would hold control up front until a restart on lap 40, where Queen is able to get by and retake the top spot. From there, Brenden commanded much of the race, with Max constantly applying pressure from second on his bumper. The dynamic would eventually shift after the second scheduled race break on lap 175. When the race resumed, Brenden Butterbean Queen faced increased pressure, but not just from Reeves, also LeVar Scott, who was famously in the 3-wide finish from Elko last year. Scott, who we had on the show a month ago, managed to sneak past both contenders to briefly control the front. Max Reeves quickly followed Scott around Queen, then made the decisive pass with 47 laps to go, taking over the lead from LeVar Scott. From that point on, Max pulled away, ultimately cruising to a dominant victory by more than 3 seconds over Butterbean Queen in the P2 position. Max has several ARCA East wins this year, but this is his first ARCA National win. Congratulations to him and that entire Joe Gibbs ARCA team. They always seem to bring rocket ships to the track in this series. Now for trivia question time. This week's question is about NASCAR's longest running team. What year did Glenn Wood, Hall of Famer from 2012, form Wood Brothers Racing? Answer at the end. First driver we spoke to during the weekend was Cayden Honeycutt, driver in the Truck Series. Here's what Cayden had to say.
Dave Weicker with Splash of Gas podcast here with Cayden Honeycutt, 45 Chevy from East Motorsports. You were third in Charlotte, sixth in Nashville. How you feeling coming into Pocono today?
Pretty good. I feel like we got a really good number 45 DQS solution staff in Chevrolet. It's all about execution today, longer race than what we've done before, so we'll have to see how that comes about. But I think we'll have good speed and try to go after the win tonight.
10-4, you got the qualifying practice coming up. How do you feel with the truck unloaded?
We'll see. We'll go and do the first couple laps and see what we got. It's a different truck that we've ran before, so we'll see what it fires off at and just go from there.
10-4, last time we were talking to you was at the Snowball Derby. You went on to win that, doing a lot of late model stuff, but been pretty good at that. How have you been feeling in the late model recently?
It's been good. A lot of unfortunate things have happened every time I've run the late model, but we've had speed every time we've gone. We're going to go to Caraway on Wednesday in a week and a half, so looking forward to going back there and running at Hickory for the 30,000 and 50,000. So I'm really looking forward to going to that later on, but focus right now is just winning this Truck Series and getting in the playoffs and going after going to Phoenix.
10-4, got it. Sounds like you're prepared. Appreciate your time. Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now for the Truck Series recap from Pocono. Trucks would get the action started in Pocono. After qualifying, Lane Riggs would be on the pole, followed by Cayden Honeycutt, making up the front row. Once the green flag dropped, Honeycutt would get the jump in turn 1, but in turn 2 on the tunnel turn, Corey Heim would take over the front spot after starting third, Lane Riggs the third. On lap 3, the 7 of Carson Hocevar, who was dropping down from the Cup Series for Friday night, and Lane Riggs would get past Honeycutt, with Riggs to second and Hocevar in third. Heim would start to put a distance between him and Riggs, 2 seconds by lap 8. With 3 laps to go in the first stage, Carson Hocevar in third has decided to flip the stage and come into the pits. Corey Heim from the lead would do the same a lap later. Focusing on getting stage points, Lane Riggs would take control of the lead. As Corey Heim would leave pit road with 2 laps to go in stage 1, the yellow would fly as the 2 of Cody Dennison would have a tire go down and hit the wall hard. Lane Riggs would win the first stage under caution, followed by Cayden Honeycutt. Stuart Friesen and Corey Heim would restart up front. Friesen would get the jump, followed by Heim. During the second green flag lap of Stage 2 and on the older tires after electing to stay out, Stuart Friesen will get passed by Heim and Hocevar. The two continue to battle for the lead. 5 laps to go in Stage 2. Heim would still be up front, leading Hocevar by half a second. Heim would increase that lead to over a second and go on to win the second stage, followed by Carson Hocevar and Lane Riggs in third. After being the only truck not to pit after Stage 2, Raja Carruth would lead the field to green, with Corey Heim making up the front row to start the third and final stage. Heim would get the jump and lead again. Carruth would fade on the older tires. Lane Riggs to second and Carson Hocevar in third. On lap 48, a big wreck would occur when Tyler Ankrum, Ben Rhodes, and Grant Enfinger attempt to go 3 wide. This would also collect Connor Jones, Clayton Green, and Dawson Sutton. Heim and Riggs on the ensuing restart, but they don't even make it into turn 2. Jake Garcia would make contact with Honeycutt entering turn 1, shooting Garcia up the track and sending him into the wall. With 1 lap before they restart, heartbreak for Corey Heim, as he has a right rear tire go down, forcing him to the pit road. Hocevar and Lane Riggs restart with 19 laps to go. Hocevar gets the jump, followed by Riggs. With Corey Heim being forced to pit, there was confusion on who was the control truck on the restart. Carson Hocevar is given a restart violation and has to serve a pit road pass-through penalty. This would give the lead to Lane Riggs, followed by Tanner Gray. 10 laps to go. Riggs has over a 2-second lead on Tanner. 5 laps to go. Riggs will continue to increase the lead from the front spot. Would the rest of the race stay green? Yes, it would, and it would be all Lane Riggs. Riggs secures his first win of the year, locking himself into the playoffs. Tanner Gray finishes second, followed by Kaden Honeycutt in third. Next driver we bring on is driver of the number 8 for Junior Motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Sammy Smith. Here's what Sammy had to say.
Dave Weicker here with Sammy Smith in Pocono. You finished 10th in Mexico last week. How do you feel coming to the Triangle?
I feel good. This has been a good track for me. I've made 3 starts here in the Xfinity car, so I'm excited to be here. And hopefully we'll get our second win of the season on Saturday.
Gotcha. Got the qualifying coming up shortly, or tomorrow. How are you feeling on that?
I feel good. I feel like JRM as a whole, it's been really fast right now. We've just been clicking off. They've been clicking off a lot of wins, so I feel like we have a lot of speed. Just need to get it back in the right direction and hopefully in victory lane. Gotcha.
Obviously, the goal is to win. Any other goals for tomorrow?
Just be up front, try to get a stage win or two, and
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Now for the Xfinity Series recap. Xfinity Series would get the on-track action in Pocono started on Saturday. After qualifying, Chase Elliott, hopping in the 17 car for the weekend, would be on the pole, followed by Brandon Jones. The big story for the Xfinity race this weekend, after deferring the penalty for loose lug nuts from Michigan to the Pocono race, crew chief of the 88 for Connor Zilisch, Mardy Lindley, would be replaced by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Very cool to see Jr. atop of the Xfinity pit box. Once the green flag would drop, Elliott would get the jump, followed by Nick Sanchez. The 39 of Ryan Sieg would have a great run and be battling Sanchez for the second spot, eventually getting that position. The yellow for incident would first fly on lap 4 when Daniel Dye goes spinning. Patrick Emmerling on the same lap slaps the wall and has damage to his rear bumper, but is able to stay out. Chase Elliott and Ryan Sieg on the restart. Elliott gets the jump and goes back up front. Sanchez is back to second. but they wouldn't even complete a lap before the yellow would fly again, as the engine for the number 19 of Justin Bonsignor expires, ending his day. The next restart would occur on lap 14. Elliott and Nick Sanchez on the front row. Chase would get the jump, followed by Sanchez and Brandon Jones in third. As the end of stage 1 would start to wind down, many would elect to flip the stage and pit towards the end of it. With 3 laps to go in the first stage, Jesse Love, Justin Allgaier, Sam Mayer, and Taylor Gray would all pit. A lap later, Chase Elliott will go on the same pit strategy and pit from the lead. This would give the lead to Brandon Jones. He would go on to win the first stage, followed by Nick Sanchez and Connor Zilisch in third. After pitting during stage 1, Harrison Burton and Chase Elliott start up front to begin the second stage. Brenden would get the jump and Allgaier would be hot on his tails in second. The time they exited turn 3, Allgaier followed Chase Elliott and are both able to get by Harrison. Allgaier leads. A lap later, the yellow would fly as stage 1 winner Brandon Jones would spin, collecting Austin Hill, William Sawalich, and Daniel Dye. Allgaier and Taylor Gray restart on the front row on lap 38. Justin Allgaier takes the lead, with Chase Elliott going to second. After contact with Harrison Burton, Sheldon Creed has a tire go down and has to pit. The race stays green. Next, yellow occurs with 9 laps to go in stage 2, as the 70 of Leland Honeyman would go spinning. Leaders of Justin Allgaier and Chase Elliott to the pits with several others. Electing to stay out, Connor Zilisch and Nick Sanchez would restart with 5 laps to go in the second stage. Zilisch gets the jump and takes the lead, followed by Sanchez. With 1 lap to go in stage 2, Taylor Gray would get past Sanchez, but isn't able to get close to Connor Zilisch, and he goes to win stage 2, followed by Taylor Gray and Nick Sanchez. Most of the field would pit under the stage break, but on different strategies, Connor Zilisch and Jesse Love restart the third and final stage. The two would battle side by side in turn 1, but Zilisch would return to the lead, followed by Jesse Love. With 37 laps to go, Chase Elliott would pass Love for second. A lap later, Allgaier would get past Jesse Love for third. With 31 laps to go, leader of Connor Zilisch would pit. Chase Elliott goes back to the lead, followed by Allgaier. 29 laps to go, yellow would fly for a spinning Garrett Smithley, as all lead cars would pit besides Zilisch, Love, and Christian Eckes. Zilisch and Love remain up front with 25 to go. Love will get a huge push from Chase Elliott, and Chase will go back to the lead on the exit of turn 1. Zilisch would drop like a rock to 5th. Justin Allgaier would get up to 2nd. 22 to go, another yellow, this time for a spinning Ryan Ellis. Justin Allgaier in 2nd would elect to start behind Chase Elliott, so it would be Elliott and Zilisch on the front row, restarting with 17 to go. But they wouldn't even make it a lap, as Nick Sanchez gets bumped and goes spinning. This would bring out the 9th yellow of the race. Elliott and Allgaier restart with 13 laps to go. In turn 1, the two make contact, sending Allgaier sliding, but he somehow saves it. Chase goes up the track. Jesse Love to the lead, followed by Christian Eckes. Absolute craziness on that restart. The 10th and final yellow of the race would fly with 11 laps to go for Kyle Sieg spinning in the tunnel turn. Jesse Love and Christian Eckes restart up front, followed by Connor Zilisch and Sammy Smith with 6 laps to go. Love would get the lead. Connor Zilisch would clear Eckes for second. Could he catch Jesse Love? After a battle between the two, Zilisch would pass Jesse Love for the lead in turn 1 with 4 laps to go. What a pass after a side-by-side battle. The rest of the race would stay green and be won by Zilisch, with Dale Jr. atop of the pit box making the calls as crew chief for the day in Pocono. Jesse Love in second, followed by Christian Eckes. Congratulations all around to Junior Motorsports. Wanted to touch upon quickly the results for Dawson Cram and the Splash of Gas 74. Had a lot of great partners paired with our sponsorship of the 74 truck and Xfinity car for Mike Harmon Racing, driven by Dawson. The truck was sponsored by Realty.com, Mateos Designs, J5 Clothing. Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert started 30th and finished 32nd. On Saturday in the Xfinity car, sponsored by Realty.com, Save 22 Veterans, Folds of Honors, Vets for Child Rescue, Veterans Welcome Home and Resource Center, Hitchco, Sea Life Aquarium, Outlaw Sim Series, and of course, Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Started 34th and finished 33rd. Thank you to everyone I met and involved. Was a great experience. Cup Series recap from Pocono. The big one in the Pocono Mountains would be on Sunday. After a 2-hour rain delay, the race would get started just after 4 p.m. After winning the pole on Saturday, Denny Hamlin would be in the front spot, followed by Chris Buescher making up the front row. Hamlin would quickly grab the lead, with Buescher and Carson Hocevar behind him. On lap 18, Hocevar would get loose, but from third and is able to save it. The race stays green. Tyler Reddick moves up to third, with Hamlin and Buescher still up front in first and second. Stage 1 would stay entirely green, and Hamlin would cruise to the Stage 1 victory, followed by Buescher and Reddick. After flipping the first stage, Brad Keselowski and Ty Gibbs would restart on the front row for Stage 2. Hocevar and Cole Custer on the second row. Keselowski would get the jump, followed by Hocevar. First yellow for incident would fly on lap 42 when Riley Herbst would go into the wall. Keselowski and Hocevar on the front row, with Hamlin and Ty Gibbs on the second row on the ensuing restart. Keselowski would get the lead, followed by Carson Hocevar. As Hamlin and Gibbs would battle for third, William Byron is able to get by both and take over the third spot. Laps later, Hamlin would take that spot back from Byron. Yellow flag would fly again, this time for Bubba Wallace, who would have a tire go down and hit the wall hard, ending Bubba's day. Many would pit, including the leaders. Penske teammates of Joey Logano and Austin Cindric on the front row for the restart. Berry and Bowman on the second row. Logano would get the lead, followed by Bowman. On lap 63, Alex Bowman would get past Joey Logano for the front spot. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is in third, with Carson Hocevar behind him. After what's been going on between those two, we were going crazy in the grandstands. Hocevar plays it cool though, and nothing occurs. Next yellow would fly on lap 77 for debris. Most would pit, but several would stay out. After electing to stay out, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Carson Hocevar restart up front. Go figure. With Chase Briscoe and Brad Keselowski on the second row. Hocevar would get the jump by a big push from Briscoe, and at the exit of turn 1, Briscoe would take the lead. Another yellow on lap 83 as Kyle Busch goes spinning, collecting Christopher Bell, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Ty Dillon. Briscoe and Stenhouse Jr. restart up front on the next restart, with Byron and Berry on the second row. 8 laps to go in Stage 2. Stenhouse and Briscoe battle side by side, with Briscoe eventually prevailing. Berry will go to second, with Briscoe still leading. Chase Briscoe will go on to win the second stage, followed by Josh Berry and Chase Elliott. Chase Briscoe and Josh Berry restart on the front row for the third and final stage, followed by Buescher and Elliott. Several laps in, Denny Hamlin would get to the third spot behind Buescher. 40 laps to go, Chase Briscoe would pit from the lead, handing the lead to Buescher. He He would pit 2 laps later. Ryan Blaney would take the lead but would have to pit soon, and he does so with 37 to go. Brad Keselowski takes the lead back. A lap later, another yellow would fly for a spinning Van Gisbergen. Keselowski would have to pit under the yellow. Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin start on the front row with Blaney and Buescher behind them, 30 to go. Briscoe would get the lead with Hamlin hounding him for second. If the race would go green, would the leaders have enough fuel? 20 laps to go. Briscoe still up front, but with less than half a second lead over Hamlin. 10 laps to go. Briscoe has slightly extended the lead to 0.6 seconds. Hamlin in second, Blaney in third. Crew chief for Chase Briscoe said they are going to be very close on fuel. What is going to happen in the closing laps? 3 laps to go. Briscoe still leads, but Hamlin closes the gap to under 0.3 seconds. Could Hamlin get past Briscoe? The final laps would stay green, and Chase Briscoe would save just enough fuel to keep it up front. Briscoe gets his first win with Joe Gibbs Racing and locks himself into the playoffs. Congratulations to the number 19 team. Quick look back at the predictions we made. ARCA went with Max Reeves. He takes home the trophy. Trucks, was it Heim time in Pocono? It was not. He was leading early, but in the end, Corey finishes 23rd after having a tire go down. Xfinity took the deuce, the 0-0 of Sheldon Creed. He gets caught up in an early yellow, gets damage. Sheldon finishes 36th. Cup Series tapped Kyle Larson. He finishes 7th. Now for yellow flag, green flag. Green flag ARCA. Gotta give it to the 15-year-old North Carolina native Max Reeves getting his first ARCA National Series win at Elko. Truck Series yellow flag. The Carson Hocevar has a restart violation 2 weeks before in Michigan in the trucks. Is on the front row late with a chance to win. I get it's confusing with Heim having to pit with a blown right tire right before the restart, but Carson in the end has to forego the lead late in the race, taking away his chance at a win. Truck Series green flag. He's been fighting all year, the 15 for Tricon Garage, Tanner Gray. After speaking with Tanner, I know he wants a win to lock himself into the playoffs, but he gets his best finish of the season on Friday. Yellow flag, Xfinity. As we saw in my predictions for this race, was expecting so much more out of Sheldon Creed. He gets caught up in that early wreck and finishes 36th. Green flag, Xfinity. Ryan Sieg, he was up front at points of the race and contending. He finishes 5th. Yellow flag, Cup. Even though Toyota went on to win, it was not a good day for the Toyotas of 2311 Racing. All 3 drivers finished 32nd and worse, with Tyler Reddick finishing P32. Both Bubba Wallace and Riley Herbst wreck out early and finish up dead last, P36 and P37. Green flag Cup Series. As much as I knocked him when he was the crew chief for Martin Truex Jr., gotta give it to James Smalls, crew chief for the 19 for Chase Briscoe now. He comes up with that strategy call that eventually went on to win the race. Congratulations, James. Now for discussions with Dave. Leads early, turns into nothing in Pocono. In each of the 3 series in Pocono, the trucks and the cars that were strong and dominant early would all not go on to win the race. We know that Pocono can come down to gas mileage, strategy, and maybe some luck with a yellow coming at the right time. That was the case for Xfinity and Cup, but not for Corey Heim. Heim was leading early and won stage 2, but bad luck going into the next restart. He had a tire go down at the wrong time, forcing him to pit. Chase Elliott in Xfinity wins the pole and leads early in the race until he decides to short pit the first stage and just couldn't get the car back up front. He finishes 4th in Saturday's race. The Cup race would end slightly better for Denny Hamlin, but in the end, he couldn't secure his 8th career victory at the Tricky Triangle. Hamlin was on the pole and very strong from the grandstands once the green flag dropped and cruised to a Stage 1 win. But the strategy by his teammate Chase Briscoe was slightly better, and Briscoe will go on to edge Hamlin out by over 0.7 seconds. All in all 3 races were great, and Pocono showed that not all strong truck and cars early can prevail to win. Next topic on discussions with Dave. Dale Jr. atop of the box for Connor Zilisch in the 88. When I got to the track Friday, it was news to me that Dale Jr. would be replacing Mardy Lindley atop the pit box as the crew chief for the 88 for Pocono, as Lindley has to serve a 1-race penalty for loose lug nuts. As a race fan, I was thrilled. I got a picture with Dale Jr. when he went through tech inspections, was having a great time. Super cool. As someone that has seen him drive a super late model the last couple years as Florence Motor Speedway, even cooler to see him atop the pit box making the calls for the first time. Others didn't see it that way. Kyle Busch was asked about it. He called it a publicity stunt. I slightly get where he's coming with that comment, as Junior was one of the head broadcasters for the Amazon Prime broadcasts. But CW Network covers all the Xfinity broadcasts this year. Not exactly sure where Busch was going with those statements, but wanted to mention another opinion on this topic. Do think it brings a lot more eyes to the Xfinity series. Next topic on discussions with Dave, Pocono brake issues. One thing that we saw that brought out the early yellows were brake failures for Riley Herbst and Bubba Wallace, both of those being Toyotas. And for 2311 Racing, the remaining 2311 car, Tyler Reddick, was on the radio very concerned about his brakes. He doesn't really have that much better of a day and finishes 32nd. Michael McDowell doesn't bring out the yellow flag, but has brake issues, goes into the wall, ends his day. I'm sure throughout the week we will have more information and the teams will dive more into those brake failures. Did think it was very bizarre to see that. Last topic on discussions with Dave this week, we were talking about this last week, is the in-season bracket challenge. The first race of this 5-race March Madness style tournament will be this upcoming weekend in Atlanta. This puts drivers head-to-head at each other, and between those two in the matchup, the one with the best finish will move on. Here are my predictions for the first 16 matchups for round 1. Hamlin versus Ty Dillon. Gotta go Denny Hamlin. Brad Keselowski versus Kyle Busch. 16-17 seed. Some would call it a toss-up. I'm taking Kyle Busch. His statistics at Atlanta are through the roof. Alex Bowman versus Joey Logano. Taking Logano. Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez. Suarez won last year in Atlanta. I'm taking Suarez. Josh Berry, John Hunter Nemechek. Josh Berry. Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon. Gotta go with Chase on that one. Ross Chastain, Eric Jones. Gotta take Ross. Christopher Bell, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. An interesting one with how good Stenhouse has been driving. Gotta go see Bell though. Chase Briscoe, Noah Gragson. Last week's winner. Gotta go with Chase Briscoe. Ryan Preece, William Byron. Gotta go with Byron. Ryan Blaney, Carson Hocevar. Hocevar did get second in Atlanta, but just gotta go with the hot hand of Blaney. Kyle Larson versus Tyler Reddick. That should be a good one. Gotta go with Young Money Larson. McDowell versus Allmendinger. Love AJ, but just gotta go with McDowell on this one. Ty Gibbs versus Justin Haley. Think Ty Gibbs edges him out. Zane Smith versus Austin Cindric. Gotta go with Austin. The last matchup, Chris Buescher versus Todd Gilliland. Gotta go with Chris. Those are my predictions for the first round. We'll see how this tournament specifically plays out in week 1 in Atlanta. Are guys actually going to wreck the driver that they're matching up against? I don't know. I don't think so, but that's what the race is for, and we'll see how this twist to the end of the regular season plays out on track. Wanted to go over briefly my Pocono weekend experience. Even though I've been in the pits and the garages countless times before at Pocono and other tracks, the experience and watching the Mike Harmon team work Friday and Saturday was truly eye-opening. Really neat to see what exactly goes on to get a truck and Xfinity car on track. Also wanted to touch upon some of the new amenities in Pocono. The new victory lane setup. I missed the old white pillars and the old building they had there in Victory Lane in Pocono. But from a fan aspect, the new setup is great. Fans can get up right to Victory Lane to see their favorite drivers get out of the car after winning. The Amazon Prime broadcast was also right there for the fans to interact. Awesome time for sure. Now for NASCAR history time. Atlanta through the years. 1969. Cal Yarborough and the Wood brothers mastered Atlanta in the late 60s. Here, Yarborough won his third consecutive race at the track. 1992. In one of the most iconic races in NASCAR history, as Richard Petty drove in his final Premier Series start, Jeff Gordon drove in his first Cup Series race, and Alan Kawicki won an unlikely Series championship. 2000. A fierce battle over the final 20 laps ends with Dale Earnhardt nipping Bobby Labonte at the line for Earnhardt Sr.'s 75th career Cup win. 2001. Kevin Harvick's first Cup Series win comes as he's the replacement driver 3 races after Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s untimely death. 2008. Kyle Busch becomes the first driver to win a Cup Series race and Truck Series race in the same weekend. 2016. Jimmy Johnson picked up his 76th Cup Series win, which ties Dale Earnhardt Sr. for 7th all-time at Cup Series wins. Dale Earnhardt Jr. congratulated his then teammate in Victory Lane. And that was this week's edition of NASCAR History Time. Drivers to look out for. This weekend, NASCAR is splitting up. ARCA and Truck Series will be racing up in Connecticut for the first time at the road course of Lime Rock. Splash of Gas will be on track all day Saturday, keeping you up to speed. With the trucks and ARCA on the road course, we will keep our eyes on the road course ringers entered in this one. Xfinity Series and Cup Series will make its second trip to Atlanta this year. Believe I mentioned this several episodes ago, but a reminder, Atlanta Motor Speedway has been renamed to Echo Park Speedway. Lime Rock for the Truck Series. 16-year-old Ben Meyer, who's made a name for himself in late models, will make his Truck Series debut. How will he bode on the road course? First of the road course ringers we will talk about is Josh Bilicki. He will be in the Niche Motorsports 44 truck. Just like Bilicki, another driver who has seen Cup Series action on the road course is IMSA mainstay Jordan Taylor as he steps into the Spire number 7 truck. Another driver who has excelled on the road courses, and he just finished 15th in Mexico in Xfinity, is Canadian driver Alex Labbe. We saw how Shane Van Gisbergen made his splash into NASCAR a couple years ago. Another driver from that same Australian Supercar series is dipping his toes into NASCAR is Cam Waters. He will be in the Truck Series again. I think he should be a contender in what should be a fast 4-sport car. Can't count out full-time drivers that have success on road courses in the past as well. Ben Rhodes, Corey Heim, and Tanner Gray. Drivers to look out for, Lime Rock, ARCA. He's making his debut in the Truck Series for Spire and with Nitro in ARCA after their win with Lapcevich in Berlin. We know that car can bring the speed, Can New Jersey native Thomas Annunziata contend on the road course? Typically, drivers with short track backgrounds translate well to the braking aspects of road courses. Can't count out Brandon Butterbean Queen, Brent Cruz, and LeVar Scott. Alon Day, the Israeli driver who's made starts in IndyCar, will be hopping in the ARCA car for Venturini. They should be fast as usual, and don't count out the other Venturini cars of Lawless Allen and Isabella Robusto. Switching to Atlanta, drivers to look out for Xfinity from there. We saw Austin Hill win this race last year and again earlier this season for the second race of the year. We know his RCR teammate of Jesse Love in the 2 will be a contender as well. Josh Williams qualified third here in the spring and finished 15th. Walked away in Pocono with a P15 finish as well. Can the mullet fly in the 11 and make it happen? Eric Amarola will be back in the Joe Gibbs Xfinity car on this one. He should be up front. Sammy Smith was 8th in Pocono and 4th in the spring in Atlanta. Smith should be a contender. Nick Sanchez has been running strong recently and was up front at Pocono at points. Can he get another top 5? Last, but sure of not least, Justin Allgaier, the current points leader. And heck, he was second earlier this year there. Can he get the trophy this time? Cup Series Atlanta, drivers to look out for. Austin Cindric in the 2 was having a solid day here in February before he got caught in a wreck. He should be fast again. Kyle Larson has 3 career top 3 finishes at Atlanta, and the last one coming earlier this year. Kyle Busch has 10 career top 10s at Atlanta, along with 2 wins. Was 7th in the first race. Can he put the 8 back in victory lane? In addition to Kyle Busch, 3 other current drivers have each won 2 times in Atlanta, and they are William Byron, Brad Keselowski, and last year's champ, Joey Logano. Can't forget about the spring winner, Christopher Bell. Will we see any more action between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Carson Hocevar? They were each in the top 5 back in February. Now for Fast Davies bets. Not all the bets for Truck Series and Xfinity are up, but here's who I'm going to take. Alex Labbe top 5 and Tanner Gray top 3 are your 2 bets to make some money Saturday afternoon. Xfinity, Nick Sanchez top 3 should be a good one. He was 5th in the first race there. Think he can get into the top 3. Cup Series, Kyle Busch top 3 is plus 400 currently. Stats don't lie. Busch should be fast here again. And if you're feeling lucky, Carson Hocevar top 3 is plus 65. He finished 2nd behind Christopher Bell earlier this season in Atlanta. Now for the predictions for Lime Rock and Atlanta. ARCA at Lime Rock. As mentioned, Thomas Annunziata will be in the Spire truck earlier in the afternoon in Lime Rock, and later in the day in ARCA series for Nitro Motorsports. That car should have speed again. Can he hold off Cruz, Butterbean, and Alon Day? I sure think so. Give me Thomas Annunziata winning the ARCA series race at Lime Rock. Trucks from the same course. Love to see a full-time truck driver win on the road course. As discussed, several ringers in the field. Ben Rhodes has won on the Daytona road course previously, with the playoffs coming soon, and him 60 points under the cut line. Think it's going to be Ben Rhodes victorious in Connecticut on Saturday. Xfinity from Atlanta. Richard Childress Racing has such a strong track record at Atlanta in the Xfinity Series. Give me the RCR number 2 car of Jesse Love. Cup from Atlanta. Anything can happen on the super speedways. Thinking another Penske car, taking Ryan Blaney to get into victory lane Saturday night in Atlanta. Now for trivia answer time. This week's question is about NASCAR's longest running team. What year did Glenn Wood form Wood Brothers Racing? Answer: NASCAR's oldest team in continuous service, was founded in Stuart, Virginia in 1950. As always, we're sponsored by Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. If you are planning on going to Disney for New Jersey's Teachers Convention Week, it's time to call Dave right now. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. That's the end of this episode. I really hope everyone has enjoyed it and all the insight from Pocono. Thank you for listening. Till next time, Splash of Gas out.